Chosen one, this is your moment. This is not a scroll-stopping video. This is a divine interruption. Heaven has been trying to reach you all week, all month, maybe all your life. And now it speaks through this moment. The stirring you've felt in your spirit isn't random. The late-night restlessness, the sudden tears, the chills when no wind blew. That wasn't anxiety. That was divine alertness. That was destiny knocking. You've been feeling something, haven't you? That sense that something's coming. God told you it would. And now it's here. You stand at the edge of something holy and don't even realize it. What if this day, this ordinary feeling day, is the disguised door into everything you've ever prayed for? What if missing this moment means missing the very reason you were placed on this earth? This message is not for everyone. This is for the faithful ones, the ones who've been waiting in the shadows while others danced in the light, the ones who held on to impossible promises when everyone else let go, the ones who stayed soft-hearted in a hardened world. You were never forgotten. You were being positioned. Heaven is declaring over you now, your time is no longer coming. Your time is now. Not next year, not after you feel ready, not once it makes sense, right now. The spiritual waves you've been sensing, they're no longer approaching. They're breaking over your reality, crashing into your timeline, altering everything. You've been crying yourself to sleep, haven't you? Wondering if God still hears, if he still sees, if the promise was even real. But behind the silence, heaven was busy, aligning the impossible, speaking orders to angels, moving people, places, and timelines around just for you. You thought nothing was happening, but in the spirit realm, everything was happening. This is not coincidence. This is convergence. You are not behind. You are not late. You are being activated. The strange dreams, the burning in your chest, the sudden clarity at 3 a.m., it wasn't your imagination. It was God, whispering, preparing, training your spirit to hear what your ears couldn't comprehend. Remember the vision, the one he gave you long ago when no one was watching, the one that seemed impossible. It's not dead, it's not lost, it's been buried like a seed growing roots in secret, waiting for divine timing. And now the time has arrived. Heaven does not move according to human clocks. It moves by appointed time, and this right here is yours. You are not losing your mind, you are awakening. You are not being tested, you are being trusted. You are not wandering, you are being aligned. Everything you've carried, everything you've cried for, everything you've waited on, it wasn't in vain. The heavens have seen, the heavens have heard, and now the heavens respond. So stand still, chosen one. Be still in your spirit, feel it, that tremble in your chest. That's not fear, that's divine confirmation. Something ancient is rising in you, something holy. You've crossed over into appointed time. Everything changes now. Your one day has arrived. Not a metaphor, not a someday, not a maybe. Now. The people who called you foolish, who rolled their eyes at your hope, who mocked your unwavering belief, they are about to witness what happens when God vindicates quiet, patient faith. Those impossible situations, the ones that made you question everything, they are about to bend to divine command. They are about to obey the voice of heaven. Remember Mary, she didn't understand how. She didn't have a blueprint. She didn't feel worthy. But when Gabriel appeared and spoke destiny into her bones, she said, "Be it unto me according to thy word." And with that one surrender, history changed forever. Now you stand in the same kind of moment. You don't need all the answers. You don't need to know how. You just need to say yes. Can I be real with you? The reason this word cuts so deep so precisely is because it was carved for you. God does not trigger this kind of spiritual sensitivity for no reason. He doesn't arrange divine appointments only to let them pass. Every stirring you felt, every unexplained ache, every spiritual vibration, it was all preparation for this moment right here. What if your struggles weren't random? What if they were training sessions disguised as heartbreak? What if the rejection was protection? What if the door that slammed in your face wasn't closing you out? It was guiding you in. The waiting wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You weren't being overlooked. You were being refined. Heaven placed you in divine quarantine because the promise on your life requires precision timing. And now, that timing has come. Let me speak this clearly into your soul. The season of preparation is finished. The promise is not on the way, it has arrived. The miracle you have longed for, wept for, fasted for, fought for it, is standing at your threshold right now. The years of confusion, the moments where you wondered if you made it all up, the silence you mistook for abandonment, they have all been leading here. Can you feel the shift? That electricity in your spirit, that clarity where fog used to be, that peace that makes no sense at all. That's what it feels like when heaven begins to manifest on earth. The clouds are parting. The light is breaking through. The resistance you felt wasn't because your breakthrough was denied, it was because it was disputed. Spiritual warfare didn't block it. It just delayed it. But now the delay is over. From the first moment you prayed, God heard you. From the first cry of your heart, heaven responded. The battle wasn't if, it was when. And this is that when. This is the now you've been waiting for. So I ask you, chosen one, how many more signs do you need? How many more confirmations must heaven send before you finally step forward? How much longer will you stand outside your promised land, doubting whether you're ready, whether you're worthy? What if I told you that the enemy's greatest weapon wasn't to steal your promise, but to delay your belief in it? What if his goal was never to stop your blessing, but to keep you in a state of almost there forever? Wake up. The door is wide open. You are no longer waiting for the prophecy, you are living in the fulfillment. If this word is piercing your soul, receive it. Don't scroll past this moment. Claim it. Speak it out loud. The second you declare your readiness, a spiritual transaction takes place. Heaven moves when faith speaks. I know you're scared. I know your heart has been shattered more times than you can count. I know it feels dangerous to believe again. But hear me, the appointed time is here. That vision you tucked away, the one you were almost embarrassed to still believe in it, is awakening. Right now. Not later, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it shall surely come, it will not tarry. Habakkuk 2:3. Remember Noah. God told him to build the ark when the skies were clear, the land dry, and the world laughing. But when the clouds came, obedience looked like foresight. Your obedience today will soon look like prophecy fulfilled. This is your moment. This is your one day, and it has finally come. For 120 years, Noah looked like a fool, a man building a boat in the middle of dry land. The skies mocked him. People laughed. Time dragged. But then a single raindrop fell, and everything changed. This is your first raindrop. Remember Jericho? The Israelites walked in circles for 6 days, nothing moved. Their legs ached. Their minds doubted. Their enemies jeered from the walls. But on the 7th day, the walls obeyed the shout. This is your 7th day. Some of you have been carrying a promise for 10 years. Some for 20. Some for your entire life. You've whispered in the night, God, if it doesn't happen soon, it'll be too late. But hear this, our God specializes in too late. When Lazarus had been dead for 4 days and the tomb stank of finality, Jesus said, "Come forth." When Sarah's body was barren at 90, he said, "You shall bear a son." When the disciples thought the storm would kill them, Jesus stood and rebuked the wind. Time means nothing to the one who created it. And now I ask you to do something that may feel strange, even inconvenient. Wherever you are, stand up. Yes, you, physically, right now, in your living room, in your bedroom, in your office, stand, because this next act isn't symbolic, it's spiritual warfare. With every ounce of faith in you, open your mouth and declare aloud, "It's happening now." Say it again, "It's happening now." The moment you spoke those words, something in the spirit realm shifted. Angels were dispatched. Chains were broken. Provision was loosed. The heavens responded, because faith like that doesn't echo into silence. It activates glory. This is not emotional hype. This is not motivation. This is a divine transaction. When God declares that a season has changed, it has already shifted in the eternal. Your only task is to align your earthbound faith with heaven's completed decree. But don't forget this. The Red Sea didn't part until they stepped in. The walls of Jericho didn't fall until they shouted. The prison doors didn't open until the praise began. Chosen one, your foot is at the water's edge. Your lungs are full of breath for the battle cry. Your lips are formed to release the praise that breaks chains. Everything you've been through was for this. But listen, this moment isn't only about your blessing. It's about your assignment. And that assignment, it's bigger than you thought. Chosen one, I speak now to the deepest part of your being. That pain you carry, it wasn't pointless. That rejection that still stings, it was strategic. Those doors that slammed shut in your face, they weren't failures, they were fortresses keeping you safe. Let this truth anchor you. Every closed door was training you. Again, every closed door was training you. Scripture tells us in Proverbs 16:9, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Your disappointments were not punishments. They were divine detours. That relationship that crumbled and left you questioning your worth, it would have drained your calling. That job you didn't get, the one that seemed perfect, it would have diverted you from purpose. That opportunity that slipped away, it wasn't your time because it wasn't your assignment. Delay is not denial. Delay is design. Yes, I know. There were nights you cried until your soul felt dry. There were mornings you begged God for a sign that He hadn't forgotten you. You watched others rise while you wrestled in the shadows and thought, "Did heaven skip over me?" No, heaven was qualifying you. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." Jeremiah 29:11. Joseph didn't understand the pit. He didn't understand betrayal, slavery, accusation, prison. But every one of those chapters led to his throne. Every hardship refined him into the man who would save nations. So what if your suffering was preparing you to save others? What if that health crisis gave you a compassion no textbook could teach? What if that financial storm made you creative, bold, resilient beyond logic? What if your season of silence gave birth to a voice that now carries heaven's sound? Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Everything was sacred preparation for what's coming next. It was never just pain. It was preparation. All that silence, all those unanswered prayers, all the nights you laid awake wondering why they created space for God to speak when every other voice in your life was too loud to hear truth. Your tears weren't wasted. They were watering seeds that have now begun to break the surface. Do you know what happens when a seed is planted? It's buried. It disappears under the soil. It looks forgotten. But beneath the surface, transformation begins. Jesus said in John 12:24, "Unless a kernel of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many. You weren't buried, you were planted. Someone needs to hear this. You've been crying out to God, why me, why this pain, why this waiting? You're tired, you're confused, you're done trying to make sense of it. But what if your suffering wasn't a sentence, it was strategy? What if it wasn't punishment for what you did wrong, but preparation for what you're about to do right? David was anointed king. And yet he lived like a fugitive hiding in caves. Moses wandered the desert for 40 years before he ever led Israel. Even Jesus, the Son of God, spent 30 years in complete obscurity before his 3 years of world-shaking ministry. Your wilderness wasn't wasted. Your silence wasn't failure. Your pain was never pointless. Romans 8:28 echoes like thunder over your life. In all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. Those tears at midnight, they were soaking the soil of your calling. That heartbreak that made you question your worth, it was divine redirection. Those prayers that seemed to hit the ceiling, they were being collected in heaven for this exact hour. The enemy tried to use it all to break you, but heaven used it to build you. The darkness was not your destination, it was your development, and now you are breaking ground. Can you feel it? That stirring in your soul isn't anxiety, it's confirmation. The tears in your eyes right now aren't sadness. They are birthing waters. Something new is pushing its way into your reality. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up, do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." This is not the promise approaching. This is the promise emerging. The harvest is here. The time is now. Every door that closed trained you for the one that's about to open. Every no was protecting you for a divine yes. Every delay developed the strength required to hold the weight of your calling. You weren't buried. You were planted. And now you rise, but listen closely. There is something most people miss in this season. A key that separates those who almost walk into breakthrough from those who fully occupy the land promised to them. You must understand this or risk circling the wilderness again. So hear me, chosen one. Not with your ears, but with your spirit. Your financial breakthrough is not coming. It has already been released. Yes, you heard me. That season of lack wasn't punishment, it was positioning. God allowed you to taste struggle so that you would recognize and steward abundance with reverence when it came. And now it's here, activated, moving. What once took you years will now take days. The God who fed thousands with 5 loaves and 2 fish is about to multiply what's in your hand. The God who turned water into wine is about to turn your financial lack into overflow. You will look around and ask, how did this happen? And others will ask you the same, and your only answer will be, God. Watch as provision begins to flow from places you didn't pursue. Watch as connections appear without effort. Watch as opportunities manifest that you never applied for. This is not coincidence. It is the downpour after the first drops. Have you seen it already? The unexpected refund, the quiet debt forgiveness, the discount you didn't ask for. These are the gentle taps before the flood. Psalm 115:14 thunders in your direction. May the Lord cause you to flourish, both you and your children. This is not poetry. This is prophetic reality being activated over your life right now. The same power that rolled away the stone and called Christ from the grave is now breathing life into your finances. The grave of lack is being shattered. The tomb of not enough is empty. Unexpected deposits, divine alignments, debts canceled, mortgages erased, medical bills vanishing, inheritance released, business doors swinging wide. Why now? Why you? Because you remained faithful when faith made no sense, because you gave when your account whispered fear, because you praised in valleys no one saw. Do you think heaven turned away? Do you think your quiet obedience was ignored? No. God saw every tithe written through tears, every seed sown from scarcity. He heard the sighs in the night when you stared at your ceiling wondering how to survive another week. He felt your ache when you had to say no to your grandchild. He saw the fear in your hands when you opened another envelope, dreading what it might demand. That season, sure, is over. I will open the windows of heaven for you, says the Lord, in Malachi chapter 3:10. I will pour out a blessing so great you won't have room to receive it. This isn't just scripture anymore. This is your story being written in real time. Now I ask you something sacred. Have you given up on believing for abundance? Have you settled for survival? Have you quietly adopted the lie that lack is holier than overflow, that is not the heart of God? Jesus himself declared in John 10:10, I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. The word is perissos. It means excessive overflowing beyond measure. You weren't born to barely scrape by. You were born to steward abundance. But hear me, this is not for hoarding. This is not about comfort. This is about kingdom. You are not just receiving blessing. You are being commissioned as a distribution center for heaven's wealth. God is not increasing your standard of living. He's increasing your standard of giving. So prepare. Prepare your heart. Prepare your hands. Prepare your accounts. What would you do if $50,000 appeared in your bank this week? What ministry would you fund if your home were paid in full tomorrow? Who would you bless if your retirement tripled overnight? Here is your prophetic instruction. Don't delay tonight. Take a piece of paper. Write your most impossible financial dream, exact numbers, exact goals, exact needs. Then write 999 on the back, the number of divine completion and harvest. Place it beneath your pillow. As you lay your head down, declare, wealth follows my obedience. My prosperity is tied to my purpose. What God has promised, He will fulfill. Say it every night for the next 21 days, not as ritual, but as prophetic agreement. You are not pleading for blessing. You are aligning with what heaven has already released. Joseph went from prisoner to palace in a single day. Ruth went from gathering scraps to owning the field overnight. The widow in 2 Kings went from crushing debt to oil overflow in hours. Your financial breakthrough isn't waiting for a better economy. It's not waiting for your resume. It's being released right now. The floodgates of heaven are opening. Prosperity angels are being dispatched to your address. Not metaphorically, literally. Can you feel it? That burn in your chest, that shaking in your belly, that is not emotion. That is confirmation. I know what I'm about to say will offend religion, but I must obey. God is about to make some of you millionaires, not for pride, not for luxury, but for kingdom expansion. The wealth transfer long prophesied. It's not coming. It's happening. And you chosen one have been positioned to receive. But this financial miracle is just one layer of what God is doing. There is something deeper, something more seismic happening in the spirit realm. And you need to understand it. Listen carefully. This is not just blessing. This is divine upheaval. The systems of this world, the ones that dictated your limits, defined your value, and told you your worth, they are crumbling. The banks, the industries, the churches, the hierarchies, the titles. This is not evolution. This is divine displacement. God is removing what man built to make room for what He ordained. And why now? Why you? Because an entire generation is watching. And they aren't looking for leaders groomed by systems. They're looking for voices formed in fire hearts, trained in caves, vessels molded in secret. You are not here by accident. You did not survive for no reason. You have been called for such a time as this. And who knows but that you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Esther 4:14. You are Esther. You are Joseph. You are Ruth. You are Noah, David, Deborah, Elijah. And your time is now. Esther 4:14. Do you understand what heaven is saying to you right now? You weren't preserved through the fire just to disappear into the background. You weren't refined in the furnace of suffering to fit into someone else's mold. You weren't carried through the darkest nights of your soul just to blend in when the morning came. You are not called to blend in. You are called to break the system. Let that truth settle into your bones. The old structures were never made to hold the weight of your calling. They were designed to keep you small, dependent, grateful for crumbs while heaven had already set a table with your name etched into the seat. What if I told you every rejection wasn't rejection? Every closed door wasn't a punishment. Every season where you were passed over wasn't abandonment. It was protection. God was keeping you from becoming entangled in systems that would have swallowed your identity, buried your voice, and chained your calling. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth, do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." The new thing isn't near, it's here, and you, yes, you are the vessel chosen to carry it. But hear me, with great calling comes great conflict. With high authority comes heavy warfare. When you step into divine leadership, you become a threat to every demonic assignment on your generation. The enemy doesn't waste arrows on the irrelevant. He only wages war on the essential. Have you noticed the pressure increasing? The strange opposition, the unexplained exhaustion, the friction in relationships, the sudden financial hits. This is not coincidence. This is confirmation. You've been asking, why is this so hard? Because you carry weight in the spirit realm. Because you're not stepping into something small, you're stepping into destiny. Old systems are collapsing. Heaven is raising you as a leader in their place. This is not about platforms, not about followers. This is about divine authority, the kind that doesn't come from applause, but from being sent. Moses wasn't qualified. David wasn't chosen by man. His own father didn't even mention his name. Peter was impulsive and raw. Paul tried to destroy the very gospel he was destined to proclaim. But God doesn't choose based on resume. He chooses based on calling, just like he chose you. The world doesn't need another personality. It needs a voice formed in fire, a voice saturated in truth, a voice that isn't waiting for permission to speak what heaven is declaring. Chosen one, hear me. There are people attached to your obedience. There are destinies connected to your decision to rise. When Jonah ran a city nearly drowned in darkness, when Moses hesitated, a generation remained enslaved a little longer. Who is waiting for your yes? What family is waiting to see freedom because of your obedience? What child, what community, what nation, that boldness you keep praying for? It's not coming someday, it's required today. This is the hour when the chosen must rise. Not with pride, but with purpose. Not with fear, but with fire. Not with insecurity, but with heaven's authority. Every time you shrink, someone else stays stuck. Every time you stay silent, a lie goes unchallenged. Every time you play small, the enemy throws a celebration. You are not rising just for yourself. You are rising for the ones who've never heard your voice, but will recognize your sound. Read that again. There are people attached to your voice, people you haven't met, people in places you haven't seen, people who are waiting for a sound only you can release. And the moment you open your mouth, they will know. They will rise, they will awaken, because you were faithful to answer heaven's call. Gideon was hiding in fear, in limitation, in false identity. When the angel of the Lord looked straight into his soul and called him mighty man of valor, he couldn't see it. All he saw was his lack, his lineage, his limitations. But God didn't speak to his present. God spoke to his potential. And God is doing the same with you right now. What if the very thing that makes you different is the very thing that makes you dangerous to the enemy? What if your pain wasn't weakness, it was warrior training? What if your private suffering has been sculpting the public strength you didn't know you were born to carry? The systems are shifting. The stage is set. Heaven is watching, and a generation is waiting. Chosen one, it's your move. Before we step further into this revelation, I need you to settle something deep within. You were never created to maintain what exists. You were born to manifest what's coming. The question is not if God has called you to lead. The question is, will you answer? Listen closely. This isn't just information, this is activation. The world doesn't need more influencers, it doesn't need more entertainers, it doesn't need more voices echoing what itching ears want to hear. You were not anointed to entertain, you were born to awaken sleepers. Can you see it now? Systems are failing. Institutions are collapsing. The things humanity placed trust in, money, culture, even religion, are shaking to their foundations. Psalm 82:5 says, "All the foundations of the earth are unstable." This is not just another season. This is the moment the prophets foresaw, when everything that can be shaken will be shaken. But why? Because sleeping giants must be stirred. Because casual Christians must be reminded of their call. Because you have been positioned by heaven for this exact hour. When Mordecai spoke to Esther, "Who knows but that you were brought to the kingdom for such a time as this?" He wasn't flattering her. He was commissioning her. And I say this to you now, not to flatter, but to ignite. Look at your life. Those tears weren't wasted. Those rejections weren't mistakes. Those detours weren't delays. They were divine preparation. God hasn't been punishing you. He's been positioning you. Do you remember crying out, "Why me?" Do you remember wondering why your path was always the harder one? Why your journey never seemed to make sense? Now you know. You weren't being crushed, you were being called. You weren't being broken, you were being built. Your neighbors don't need another program. Your city doesn't need another performance. They need a living witness. They need to see that God still speaks, still heals, still delivers, still raises up chosen ones from ashes into authority. Your life will preach louder than any pulpit. Your scars will prophesy. Your voice will wake what religion couldn't reach. God asked Ezekiel, "Can these bones live?" And today heaven is asking you the same about your family, your workplace, your generation. Can these bones live? You are God's answer. You are the one He will speak through. You are the voice that will call dry bones back to life. Do you understand what I'm saying? You will be the reason someone else remembers who they were born to be. You will be the key that opens another person's prison. You will be the light that helps a soul find its way back home. But this isn't about pride. This isn't about platform. This is about purpose. Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine, not to promote yourself, but to glorify your Father in heaven." When was the last time your light made someone glorify God? When was the last time your presence disrupted spiritual slumber? If something is stirring in you right now, if there's a fire in your bones that refuses to be balanced, then it's time to respond. Send this message to someone you know is chosen, someone who has been overlooked, someone who doesn't fit in, someone who has been through the fire. They need this word. And now I ask you not to listen, but to pray with me aloud. God, use me as a light in the middle of collapse. I surrender my comfort. I surrender my plans. I surrender my fear. Make my life a living sermon that awakens others to their divine purpose. I accept my assignment as a chosen one in this generation. Can you feel that weight that's stirring on your spirit? That's not guilt. That's not pressure. That is commissioning. That is heaven's authority resting upon you. The days of hiding are over. The time for silence is finished. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 61. I know this feels overwhelming. I know the weight is real. Some of you are thinking I'm just one person. I'm too old, I'm too broken, I'm too ordinary, but that is exactly who God uses. When he parted the Red Sea, he didn't summon an army. He called an 80-year-old shepherd holding nothing but a staff. When he brought down the walls of Jericho, he didn't use force. He used worship. When he saved the world, he didn't do it through kings and scholars. He sent a carpenter from Nazareth. The awakening that is coming. It will not begin with megachurches. It will not be led by influencers. It will not start with the powerful or the famous. It will begin in hidden rooms, with hidden ones, tested ones, wilderness-forged ones, those who were faithful when no one was watching. It will begin with you. But here's the question heaven is asking. Will you answer the call, or will you be the one who almost changed history? And if you do say yes, what will it cost you? What must you leave behind? What comfort zones must die? What identities must be shed, because the call will cost you? And heaven is not playing. Let me say something now that may shake you. This moment is not just another word. It's not just encouragement. This is a divine warning wrapped in mercy. Prophetic moments carry weight. They demand urgency. They require response. Do you know why the Israelites wandered for 40 years on an 11-day journey? It wasn't because God was late. It was because they missed their moment. Moses sent 12 spies into the promised land. Only Joshua and Caleb returned with faith. The rest froze in fear. And because of hesitation, an entire generation missed their inheritance. Listen carefully. Missing this moment could mean circling the same mountain for another year, another decade. Worse, it could mean missing it entirely. Even Esther, positioned chosen favored, was warned. Mordecai didn't flatter her. He told her the truth. If you remain silent at this time, deliverance will still come, but it will come from elsewhere. And you and your family will perish. Do you hear that heaven will fulfill its purpose with or without you? The only question is, will you be a vessel or a bystander? Look at your life. Those closed doors weren't rejection, they were redirection. That heartbreak wasn't failure, it was protection. The financial pressure wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And now, the positioning is complete. Let me speak this plainly. Most people will miss this move of God, not because they're evil, not because they're rebellious, but because they're distracted. They're looking for burning bushes while God is speaking through burning hearts. They want a neon sign when God is whispering at 3 a.m. They want thunder, but God is in the stirring. Isaiah 43:19 doesn't say I will do a new thing. It says I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? The question isn't, is God moving? The question is, are you aware enough to see it? When Peter walked on water, the miracle didn't start on the water. It started in the boat when he stood up, when he moved while everyone else stayed seated in comfort. What boat are you sitting in right now? What fear is holding you back from stepping into the supernatural? There are 3 kinds of people hearing this word. Those who dismiss it as coincidence, those who feel it but still hesitate, and the rare few who act immediately. Which one are you? Heaven is not waiting anymore. You must move. The prophet Haggai confronted a people who kept saying, "It's not the right time to rebuild the Lord's house." And God responded, "Is it time for you to dwell in your paneled houses while my house lies in ruins?" How many more signs do you need? How many more dreams? How many more closed doors? How many more divine wake-up calls will it take? You feel it, don't you? That divine discontent, that aching knowing inside you that there is more, that what you were made for hasn't even begun. It's not imagination. It's not restlessness. It is prophetic awareness. So now I ask you, not as a preacher, not as a motivator, but as one delivering heaven's question, what are you still holding on to? That's keeping you from stepping into your calling because the time isn't coming. It's here. The call isn't for someone else, it's you. And the world isn't waiting. It's groaning for the revealing of the sons and daughters of God. What if the delay you keep blaming on God isn't Him at all? What if the very thing you've been praying for has been waiting not on His timing but on your obedience? Behold, I stand at the door and knock, says Revelation. Notice Jesus doesn't break the door down. He knocks. The choice remains yours. The invitation is extended. But doors don't stay open forever. Moses had his burning bush. Mary had her angelic visitation. Paul had his blinding encounter on the Damascus road. This is yours. This moment, this message is your divine interruption. Remember the parable of the 10 virgins. All 10 were invited. All 10 knew the bridegroom was coming, but only 5 were ready when the door opened. The difference wasn't knowledge. They all had the same information. The difference was preparation. The difference was readiness. The difference was responding while others waited. The days of casual Christianity are over. The days of safe, convenient faith are done. The era of spectator spirituality has expired. Heaven is drafting warriors, not entertainers, not spectators. Warriors who will move when others hesitate, who will build when others criticize, who will speak when others stay silent. Chosen one, I may not know what God has whispered into your heart, but I know this: the season of hiding, preparing, and waiting has served its purpose. Now begins the season of manifestation. So I ask you again, are you ready to step out of the boat? Are you ready to leave behind the comfort that became your cage? Are you ready to be the Joshua or Caleb of your generation? The one who says, we are well able when others only see giants. Because the promised land is not just a future. It's not just a place, it is your destiny, and the time to enter is not someday. It's not after one more sign, it is now. Why is this moment different? Why does it feel heavier than anything you felt before? Because what heaven is about to release will not be revealed to everyone. It will be entrusted to the faithful few who are positioned correctly. Those with clean hands, clear eyes, open hearts. There's something inside you that's been sleeping. A fire, a power, a roar. Heaven has been waiting for the precise second to awaken it, and now it begins. You've been asking God for strength. Meanwhile, you've been carrying a dormant giant inside your spirit. Proverbs 28:1 says, the righteous are as bold as a lion. Not will be bold, not someday maybe. Are present tense, current reality, already within you. And now you see why the enemy came for you the way he did. He didn't attack because you were weak. He attacked because you are dangerous. The warfare wasn't random, it was revealing. Hell doesn't waste energy on the irrelevant. He saves his fury for the ones who terrify him most. And nothing terrifies hell more than a chosen one who finally wakes up to who they really are. David was overlooked, underestimated, left in the fields just a shepherd. But deep inside him slept a king, a royal authority hidden beneath rags and rejection. What if your weakness, is actually your weapon? What if everything you thought disqualified you was God's strategy to qualify you? Those nights you cried yourself to sleep, that was strength being forged in silence. Those moments you were overlooked. That was destiny being hidden from premature exposure. Those hours you questioned your worth, that was purpose being preserved until its appointed time. And now it's time. The world doesn't understand you, and it never will, because they're not supposed to. Diamonds don't explain themselves to stones. 1 Samuel 16:7 says, The Lord does not look at what people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. When others saw a boy, God saw a king. When others saw a fisherman, God saw an apostle. When others see your pain, God sees your throne. Do you feel that stirring in your chest, that trembling in your soul? That's not emotion. That's not adrenaline. That is ancient power awakening. The enemy has been watching you closely, studying your habits, analyzing your delays, because he knows what happens the moment you truly awaken. He knows what happens when a dormant lion finds its roar. He knows what happens when a chosen one stops waiting and starts walking. So now the choice is yours. Will you stay asleep in safety? Or will you rise in fire, finally becoming the threat you were always born to be? Your prayers are not just words. They are weapons forged in the unseen. Your worship is not just sound. It is warfare that shakes the foundation of hell. Your testimony is not just your story. It is a sword, and it has the power to cut through chains. But here's the truth: you've been fighting the wrong battle all along. You've been begging for what you already carry. You've been waiting for a power that's been waiting for you. You are not fighting for power. You are fighting from power. Let that settle into your spirit. Let it pierce through every lie that told you you were weak. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the grave lives in you. Not visits occasionally, not hovers above. He dwells there, moves there, operates through you. Romans 8:11 says, "If the spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you, then he who raised Christ will also give life to your mortal body." Do you understand what this means? You don't need more power. You need to activate what's already within you. What would change if you stopped seeing yourself through the lens of your failures and started seeing yourself through the eyes of your Father? What if every battle you faced wasn't meant to destroy you, but to reveal you? The enemy is trembling right now, because the greatest threat to his kingdom isn't your pain. It's your awakening. He's terrified you'll stop surviving and start knowing. He's desperate to keep you asleep because a sleeping giant is no threat. But what happens when the giant wakes up? What happens when you finally understand that your assignment isn't separate from your identity? It is your identity. You were created for this exact hour. Your name is known in heaven. Your presence has purpose. Your existence is evidence that revival is here. Ephesians 2:10 declares we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works which God prepared in advance for us to do. Prepared in advance, before your first breath, before your first mistake, before the first time you doubted if you were worthy. The time for hesitation is over. The time for shrinking is over. The time for questioning if you're enough is over. You carry authority that makes demons tremble. You carry wisdom that defies the wise. You carry love that dismantles darkness. The power is not on the way. It is already here, already in you, already waiting on one word, yes. So now, chosen one, what will you do now that you know who you are? Because what is about to be revealed is not just your next step, it's your awakening. And it will shift everything around you. The world isn't just in crisis, it's in transition. The shaking you see, it's not chaos. It's divine dismantling. The old systems are collapsing. The structures of man are falling. Heaven is not shaken. Heaven is rebuilding. Have you ever wondered why you were born into this generation? Why not 100 years ago? Why not 100 years from now? Because God looked across the timeline of human history and He chose you for this moment. He trusted you with this age. He assigned you to this era. Who knows, Mordecai said to Esther, if you were made queen for such a time as this. That same declaration is echoing over your life now. Your birthday was not random. Your survival was not accidental. Your story was not optional. You are here on purpose for a purpose. You are the answer to someone's prayer. You are the result of someone's prophecy. You are the seed of revival placed in the soil of this generation. The burden you feel for people you've never met, that is not just emotion. That is prophetic assignment. The ache you feel when you see injustice, pain, and darkness, that is not just empathy. That is divine permission to bring the light. But here's the sobering truth: if you do not step into your role, someone else will miss their breakthrough. If you stay silent, someone else will stay bound. If you shrink back, an entire chain of generational impact will be delayed. This is not just about you. You are a link in a divine legacy, a branch in a living story, a voice in a prophetic line of destiny. And it all comes down to this moment. Will you stay safe, or will you awaken the giant inside? Can you feel it, that question echoing in your spirit, the same one that thundered through eternity in Isaiah 6:8? Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? That question hovers over your life right now. Remember this: Moses was 80 when his true assignment began. Sarah was 90 when she held her miracle. Abraham was 100 when he saw the promise fulfilled. So don't you dare say it's too late for me. Don't believe the lie that your greatest impact is already behind you. The enemy wants you sidelined, comfortable, retired from purpose, because he knows your greatest assignment is not in your past. It's standing in front of you right now. Remember Noah. For 100 years he built while the world laughed and mocked. They called him crazy. But when the first raindrop fell, the vindication of heaven thundered over his life. You've carried dreams that felt too strange for anyone else to understand. You've held visions too vast to explain. You've borne burdens so heavy words could never capture them. But now heaven is saying, it's time. The prophet Joel declared it. In the last days I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions, Joel 2:28. Did you catch that? Your old men will dream dreams, not retire from purpose, not shrink back in fear, dream. The greatest warriors in the kingdom aren't just the young with energy, but the seasoned saints with wisdom, battle-tested believers who know how to stand firm when everyone else runs away. People like you. Do you realize what's at stake? Entire families, entire communities, entire nations hanging in the balance. God is looking at you right now in this moment of history's greatest transition. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. He doesn't need perfect vessels, he needs willing hearts. Moses stuttered. David fell. Peter denied. But God rewrote history through the surrendered. What makes you think your past can cancel your future? The real question isn't whether God can use you. The real question is, will you let him? When this season of history is recorded, and it will be, what will they write about you? Will they say you recognized the moment? Will they say you answered the call? Or will fear write a footnote of regret? Romans 8:19 says, creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Creation is waiting for you to step into who you really are. This is not about comfort. This is not about personal blessing. This is about your assignment in the greatest move of God humanity has ever seen. You were born for such a time as this. If your spirit bears witness, declare it now, for such a time as this. Type it. Speak it, write it. Let heaven and earth hear your agreement. And as you do, call out someone else who needs to rise, someone who's been hiding, someone who's been told to settle for less than their calling, someone who needs this holy awakening. Because the world doesn't just need your voice or my voice. It needs every voice heaven has positioned for this hour. And here's what most never understand about divine timing. When God says, it's time, he doesn't just open a door, he creates a new path where there was none before. That path is appearing right now before your eyes. What was once only a stirring has become confirmation. The heavens are not silent. The green light has been given. For months, maybe years, you felt it, that tug, that ache, that sense that something was coming you couldn't explain. Others thought you were dreaming. Others doubted your discernment. But you weren't crazy. You weren't chasing shadows. The oil is fresh, the heavens are open, the gate is unlocked. This isn't spiritual poetry, this is a divine declaration over your life. I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them, says the Lord. Ezekiel 37:12. What are the graves in your life? Dead dreams, buried hopes, promises that seemed forgotten. Look up. Can you see it? That green light over your circumstances, over your calling, over your future. Heaven's approval has been released. The Father is nodding yes over what the enemy tried to bury in a tomb called impossible. Let me ask you something that might shake the ground beneath your feet. What if your waiting wasn't punishment, it was protection? What if God wasn't withholding from you, but withholding for you? That's where you've been, in the gap, in the waiting room of heaven. But right now, in this very moment, I need you to hear me with the ears of your spirit. The gap is closing. I see it in the spirit, a massive key turning slowly but surely in a lock that's been rusted shut by delay and disappointment. That key is moving for you right now. Can you hear it? That is the sound of your destiny being unlocked. But chosen one, you must understand this. An open door does not guarantee you will walk through it. You must choose to step forward. You must decide to leave behind what is safe, what is known, what is comfortable. Remember the Israelites standing at the edge of promise, an open door before them. And still an entire generation stayed behind. Because fear shouted louder than faith. What about you? What will you choose? In Revelation 3:8, Jesus says, "See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut." No one. Not your past, not your mistakes, not your critics, not your limitations, not your lack, not your health, not even the devil himself. No one can shut what God has opened for you. Today I invite you to make your declaration. If your spirit bears witness, if you feel the trembling certainty that God is speaking to you, then type, "The door is open." Don't just type it as routine. Type it as a holy declaration. Type it as your spiritual mark, your blood on the doorpost, your decree to heaven, earth, and hell that you are stepping forward in faith. And share in the comments how this word has spoken to your soul. What door is God opening in your life? What promise are you stepping toward? If you are struggling to believe, type "praying for faith" and watch this community gather to lift you up. You are not alone here. If this word touched you, send it on to someone else standing at their own threshold, wondering if they're really called to step through. Your act of sharing may be the confirmation that unlocks someone else's destiny. From the depths of my heart, thank you for walking this whole journey with me. These words are not just a script. This is a divine appointment between your spirit and God's living truth. If you haven't already, subscribe and stay connected. Heaven has more to say to you in this season, and I don't want you to miss a single word. Remember, chosen one, the door is open. Heaven is waiting. Your time is now. Go in peace, walk in power, and live in full assurance that what God has started, He will finish. Until next time, this is Divine Wisdom, believing with you and for you, walking through in faith. How did this message reach your spirit today? What door do you sense God opening in your life right now? Share your heart in the comments below, because your breakthrough is never just your own. If you are struggling to believe, simply write "praying for faith," and I promise you this community will lift you up. You are not alone. If this message touched your heart, let it ripple outward. Share it with someone in your circle. Someone you know is standing at their own threshold, wondering if they should step through. Your share could be the confirmation they've been praying for, the spark they need to say yes to their own divine assignment. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for staying with me on this entire journey. These words are not just a script to me. This is a divine appointment, a sacred intersection between your spirit and the living truth of God for your season. If you haven't already, please subscribe and tap the notification bell. I truly believe heaven has more to say to you through this channel, and I don't want you to miss a single word appointed for your life right now. Remember, chosen one, the door is open. Heaven is waiting. Your time is now. Go in peace, walk in power, and live every day in the full assurance that what God has started, He will complete. Until next time, this is Divine Wisdom, believing with you, standing for you, and walking through in faith together.